celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring your dream team, veterinarian Dr. Debbie White and groomer Joey Villani. And here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
You ready to do this again?
I'm ready. I'm always ready.
Today we're going to find out about the dogs that protect the president. And even though he doesn't have his own dog, there are dogs that watch out for him as part of the Secret Service. I did not know this.
I didn't either.
Did you know this, Lori?
No.
Okay, so we're going to find out all about the Secret Service dogs and maybe find out how many there are. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
That's on the way.
I used to live in Washington, D.C.
I know.
I've been doing news for how long? Never saw a picture of it?
You've never seen a Secret Service dog?
You never hear about them.
Well,
you're probably wearing camo. That's why you don't notice them.
Sunglasses.
Yeah, maybe Hawaiian shirts to blend in with the crowds.
Okay, well, that's on the way. We're also going to answer your questions for Dr. Debbie and for Joey Villani, the dog father, from the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android. I just found out that Robert Semrow, he's going to be talking about the 5 questions cats have for him. Apparently, I don't know when, but cats are asking him questions and how he's answered.
Okay.
And why is he doing this? Apparently, tomorrow is National Answer Your Cat Day, which is... Yeah, exactly. That was my...
SWAT smack.
So that's on the way. Lori, what are you working on for this hour?
Well, there is one lawmaker who is in trouble for what he did with a rabbit on an airplane.
What?
But get your mind. I'm really... It's not bad, but he is in trouble. We'll tell you about it.
Politicians and
rabbits on a plane. I don't want to picture that.
Let's go to Marie. Hi, Marie.
Hello.
How are you? Where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from West Terre Haute, Indiana.
Oh, listening on WIBQ, I imagine.
Uh-huh.
Thank you so much. I've got the whole team here for you. What's going on with your animals?
Okay. I have it's a tomcat. He's a stray, and I've had him here, we've been here 4 years, and I'd say he's just a little older than 4 years, but maybe 6 years.
Okay.
And he has on the right ear, right beside the skull and the ear, there's a sore there, about the size of a dime, and it'll get a top on it, and then he'll scratch it and tear it back off. And before the weather got real cold, he was shaking his head like he may have had ear mites.
Okay.
But my daughter told me that if he did have ear mites, you can't do nothing about them in the wintertime. So I was just going to see what the doctor had to say about it.
Well, my first question for you is this a kitty that you can handle, that you touch, or is he a true feral that he's just kind of running around?
No, I can, while he's eating, I can go up and maybe rub some medicine on that spot with cotton ball.
Okay.
No, he's not real bad.
Okay. And is he a kind of kitty you can get in a carrier and get to the veterinary office?
We have had him to the spot neuter place.
Okay.
One time he's been in a carrier.
Okay. Because it's going to depend a little.
Real easy to do that too.
Well, the reason I ask is because it just determines what we can do. Now, for a kitty that's not accustomed to a lot of handling, there's a lot of different options that I would have for a pet when we're thinking, okay, maybe ear mites or some kind of skin infection. At least it sounds like we've got going on. So some of the things that I do here in my office, if I have a cat that we don't have a lot of hands-on ability, so if we have a skin wound on the face, I might want to use an antibiotic. There is actually an antibiotic you can give by an injection. It's a cephalosporin antibiotic, and it lasts for a couple weeks. And that's kind of a convenient way that we can treat some of these types of skin infections or even bladder infections when we don't want to medicate a cat regularly. So that would be one thing. If he's the kind of kitty that we can A, get to the vet, and B, your veterinarian can give an injection to, that would be a great thing to try. And it doesn't require you putting medicine on top of that area at all and catching him. The second thing is if we're worried that he could have some kind of skin mites, you can use ointments and creams and catch him and put him in his ears. But, I would be tending to think of a couple different therapies we could consider. One is a topical, actually a flea tick medicine, selamectin, or also known as Revolution. And we can apply that to the skin. And you can do that. That's something your veterinarian can give you or they can do in the clinic setting. And it's just a little vial you put on the skin. And usually I repeat it again in a couple weeks, about 2 weeks. But that can be very helpful for treating mites, as well as some other types of parasites as well. And so that, again, that's something that, they can start in the clinic setting. You can repeat at home and see if that helps relieve some of those symptoms. Obviously, if possible, I always like to get some evidence and some skin tests or swabs from the ear to see what we've got going. But if we're just kind of keeping it simple and trying to do some good for a kitty that may not be used to the most handling, that would be my approach to things.
What did you say the name of that was?
The topical for the mites would be known as Revolution. There is also, there's a variety of different ear medicines that we can put in that contain ivermectin, and those may be in gels or so forth, but those usually have to be repeated by, instilling them in the ear and then repeating them again in 2 weeks. And that can be a little bit more upsetting for a cat that's not used to a lot of close handling. So that's kind of why the other treatment was what I had in mind for your situation.
Is this Revolution, is it like a little salve or something I can just rub on it?
It's not going to go on the site. It actually just goes on the skin, and that's geared towards treating mites, like ear mites. So, you don't apply that to the infected or the irritated area. It just goes on a healthy area of skin elsewhere, and that works to kill those mites. Yeah.
Like maybe when they put the stuff between the shoulder blade or something?
Exactly. Yeah, that would be exactly the way we administer that. Mm-hmm.
Now he doesn't have. I heard the lady talking about ear mites, and he doesn't have nothing coming from his nose. No sneezing. He's not shaking his head as much as he was before it got real cold. Mm-hmm. But it's just that he keeps tearing that top off of that sore, and then it's not going to heal if he keeps tearing it off. And,
well, like I
think
said,
he's probably doing that from scratching, huh?
Yeah. So I would certainly, those would be my first steps. And if that didn't seem to work, then, then I think you go looking for some of the less obvious things that can cause that. There are types of allergies in cats where they can have sores, they can be itchy, they can be allergic to food, and that can translate to skin sores as well. So, but that takes a lot more working up. So,
yeah, he's a big, heavy cat. I mean, there's 5 of them that lives here. And they're all boys. They've all been fixed. Aww. And thank goodness they don't spray and they don't fight one another now.
Yeah.
But this yellow one, he just had trouble with that spot on his ear, and so I thought I'd talk to you about it. And I appreciate the information.
All right. Well, my pleasure, and best wishes with him and the whole crew of those boy kitties for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Marie, listening in Indiana. You're an Indiana gal, aren't you?
I sure am. I come from Hammond, Indiana, in the northwest part of the state.
Is that anywhere near Terre Haute?
Kind of, sort of. It's kind of near Chicago, Gary, up in that area. But I went to school at Purdue, so kind of more mid-state. So I've seen all parts of the state. It's a beautiful place. Very, very cold right now, and I am so happy I practice in Las Vegas now.
I bet. Hey, Walter, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Very good. Where are you calling from today?
Barboursville, West Virginia.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
How can we help you?
Okay, well, I have a cat who makes it very difficult for me to apply the Advantage 2 to the back of her neck. She shifts her head all around, and I was wondering if there's some gadget or some way I can teach her to stop doing that, allow me to part her hair. It's a long-haired cat, too.
Okay, so she's kind of doing the exorcist when you're trying to do this.
Right.
Okay. Well, the easiest thing is to have a assistant, someone to help you out. I have found that when we need to do a topical or even for oral medications with cats, you can do what we call make a kitty burrito. So you kind of wrap the kitty up in a towel.
Okay.
And it helps to keep the legs somewhat immobile. You can kind of hide the head at the opening and just get exposure to the neck area. For some cats, that can actually calm them because they don't feel like they're vulnerable.
Yeah.
So that's one route to do it. If we're just applying a flea tick topical, a lot of times you can just, by kind of using a gentle scruffing with your fingers, you'll get exposure and you can create like a little line of where you'll see the skin and just apply your flea topical in that area. Or for some cats, I like to go less stress. And you can do this by just letting her sit and do her own thing. Don't kind of manhandle her. Don't make her feel like she's being restrained. And I just start a little bit back further on the body than the area I'm going to go. And I just push with my finger and I'm going to move forward up towards the head with just light pressure. And by doing that, you'll see, where the skin meets the hair. And just kind of slowly do that, and you'll have a little line where you can apply the topical with very minimal restraint. So I don't know if either of those approaches, and I have my own cat. I used to do this with him. Little ladies' hair clips, the kind you put your hair up with the little jaws.
Yes.
It actually would induce my cat to almost like a kitten-like state where, mama cat grabs them by the scruff of the neck and they relax. Oh. So for him, that was actually something that I could do things to him by just putting this very gently, nothing barbaric here, but very gently on the scruff of his neck, and he would relax and just not move. Huh. So it really is depending what's your cat's personality, what he or she is going to adapt to the most easily with the least stress. But that's a little. What is your cat's personality? What kind of kitty do we have?
Well, ordinarily she's very calm most of the time.
Oh, he is. Okay. Yeah, so I would probably either try the least restraint method. If he's pretty chill, then try the little hair grabber.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your help. Thank you.
Hey,
all right. Good luck with that.
Thanks, okay. Walter. Well, this portion of Animal Radio is underwritten by Fear-Free Happy Homes. Don't forget you can get your fix of Animal Radio anytime you want with the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android. It's made possible by Fear-Free Happy Homes, helping your pets live their happiest, healthiest, fullest lives at home, at the vet, and everywhere in between. Visit them at fearfreehappyhomes.com. And thanks, Fear-Free, for underwriting Animal Radio.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
If you're a diabetic, we have great news. You can end the painful finger sticks with a new CGM. Plus, they may be covered by Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. If you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you may qualify. Call US Med now to learn more.
800-434-5019. 800-434-5019. 800-434-5019. That's 800-434-5019.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
I don't know everything. I have questions too, especially when it comes to grooming.
So what's up?
So, Joey, I have this question. So my relative has a little mini poodle, and it's like maybe a 7-pounder. He's male, and as the male person in the household has a problem with him looking too feminine or poodle-like,
Oh boy.
So is there a type of like a name of a clip that they can do that still kind of gives him a little hair? Because he just like skinned down to the bone.
Do you know what's so funny is this question I probably hear from most poodle owners more than any question. So this isn't unique at all. It's funny how many poodle people, they don't want their dogs to look too poodleish or too girlish. And it's like, well, what did you get a poodle for? But and you know what? I love the look of a poodle. But you know what? Remember this. There's something that we call snap-on combs. And snap-on combs is something that you don't see in a human barber, but you see they use them a lot in grooming salons. And they want to use a number 2 snap-on comb. And number 2, and the groomer will know exactly what I'm talking about. And what that's going to do, it's going to leave about a quarter to a half inch of hair on the dog. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but on a dog that has a coat like a poodle that stands out, it gives the appearance of a nice, fluffy-looking dog. Now, I have a question for you. Do they not like that, that shaved face, that, that real pointy muzzle look?
Currently they kind of do like a little mustache on him, so he's not like a totally clean face, no. And he doesn't have the poof up top.
There's a couple of things they could do. They can do a Bichon type head or a panda head. Now that's a rounded head and gives it almost like a stuffed animal look. Or we could do something which is called a sweetheart or a donut mustache. Sweetheart mustache is exactly what it sounds like. It's heart-shaped. Donut mustache is exactly what that sounds like, and it's rounded. Any groomer will know exactly what they're talking about. But it's still going to have a little bit of a poodly look. I recommend a panda or a Bichon type head. And I'm going to say most people who don't want the poodle look end up really liking that trim.
Okay. Now, is there something called a cowboy cut, or did they just make some name up for something?
No, that there actually is a cowboy cut, but that's a true poodle cut.
That is, okay.
You know, in the guide of poodle grooming, which is the Kellstone Guide, and it's pretty much like the Bible for poodle grooming. And that will have all your cuts in it, but really all those cuts for poodles make them look like poodles. The Bichon or the Panda cut will make them more like a stuffed animal.
Just around the corner, we're going to talk to Maria Goodavage. She's been on before, and she's written a book called Secret Service Dogs. She's gone undercover, and she's telling us all about the dogs that protect the president. The Secret Service. They're Secret Service dogs.
They're secret dogs.
I've never even seen a picture of them, like in the newspaper or on the news.
But do they show you pictures of all the Secret Service people?
No. It's a secret.
Good point, Dr. Debbie. But you can pick them out. But, geez, you never see a dog. That's so cool to know.
Absolutely. So we'll find out more about them in just a few minutes. Also, Robert Semrow with 5 questions cats have asked Robert, and Robert has answered. And he's doing this in celebration of, I believe it's Answer Your Cat Day tomorrow. I don't know who made that up, if it was a card company.
Another way to sell cards.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Hello, Animal Radians. It's Robert Semrow, your Pet World Insider, here with this week's Animal Radio list. 5 things cats have asked me, and my unfiltered answers. All right, so you know how much I love all the pet holidays, and I don't think that there's nearly enough of them. Well, I've got one for you that proves that I and every grumpy cat lover out there are right. It's National Answer Your Cat's Questions Day. Yes, it's a real celebration. It's upon us, and I thought I would share with you 5 of the most important or irreverent questions that cats have asked me. And those of you who know me know that cats and I have a unique relationship. Yes, I love cats, and cats love cats. So let's begin with the one that you're all thinking and a Persian cat once asked me about. Is there really a National Answer Your Cat Day? I replied that there absolutely was, to which he replied, that's ridiculous. Every day is Answer Your Cat Day. I also met a Burmese who once asked me if I lived in a tree and had my own scratching post. I told her that I had lots of trees at my house, but no scratching posts. The Burmese told me she knew my type, always with my head in the clouds, chasing the world, but forgetting my priorities. A Sphinx once asked me about my obsession with clothes and my ridiculous haircut. I answered that I wore clothes to stay warm and that my hair was actually short. The Sphinx looked me in the eyes and said, and I quote, "Your hair isn't short. Get a haircut, hippie. And the layered look belongs in the 90s. She was right, because we all know Sphinx are very fashionable. Next up was the question that a Bengal asked me about hunting and lasers and if I knew where the catnip was stashed. I told him that I was all for cats with lasers hunting while on the good kind of catnip. We still hang out to this day. Unfortunately, the lasers gave way to glow sticks and electronic dance music, but as we all know, Bengals got moves. And have you ever just sat and stared at a Bengal's beautiful coat and all the patterns and colors? I have, and that's why I believe catnip should be legal in all states. Oh, wait, breaking news, Cat Nation. Catnip is legal, and cat lasers are still annoying. Finally, a Savannah cat asked me why I thought it was so cool that they would play in water, walk on leashes, and chase balls. I replied, it's so fun, it's entertaining, and it's just like... At that point, the Savannah got real close and said, go ahead, Rob. I dare you to say it. I decided that I would email my answer that day, as I knew he was begging for me to say, it's like playing with a dog. As if I would actually say that to a cat in person, while it could... Sorry, that's going to have to wait for an upcoming 5 Reasons I Go to a Pet Therapist episode. Then again, maybe this was all just a catnip-induced dream sequence, and cats don't actually talk to me. Share your favorite cat questions and answers on our Animal Radio Facebook page.
Check out Animal Radio highlights, all the good stuff without the blah, blah, blah. Browse on over to animalradio.pet.
Hi, this is Clive Pierce from HGTV. You're listening to Animal Radio.
Do your dogs go nuts when they hear fireworks or during a bad thunderstorm? It's not their fault. They have sensitive ears. You love your dog, and so do we. That's why we developed a perfect solution for your loved pets by eliminating the harmful noise. It's called Doggy Hush, a unique waterproof set of headphones that go over your dog's ears. They're so comfortable, your dog won't even know they're wearing them. And when this happens, your dog will feel and stay safe and stress-free. Go to doggyhush.com. Enter the promo code we're about to give you for a free special gift. Again, buy Doggy Hush for your dog today and protect your dog's ears from fireworks, thunderstorms, and a lot more harmful noises. Go to doggyhush.com and enter this promo code, Radio4. Radio and the number 4. Go to doggyhush.com right now and enter the promo code Radio4. Again, that's promo code Radio4.
Hey, everybody, this is Billy Dean, and you're listening to Animal Radio.
This is an Animal Radio News Update brought to you by Fear Free. Fear Free takes the pet out of petrified and puts the treat into treatment. To learn more and find a certified fear-free veterinary professional near you, visit fearfreepets.com.
I'm Lori Brooks. This, I believe, would be one of the jobs of my dreams, and probably yours too. The ASPCA. They have a kitten nursery in New York City in this huge building where staff members and volunteers take care of up to 300 stray and orphan kittens, tiny ones, at a time. And they really act like the kittens' surrogate mothers. They feed them tiny bottles of warmed up formula and even groom them with a toothbrush. And they say that takes the place of a mother cat's rough tongue. Another thing they do that would be fun to do and even cuter to watch is blowing bubbles at the kittens so that they can practice their hunting and pouncing skills. How adorable. The ASPCA opened that nursery a few years ago. They say it was to fill a need because city-run shelters don't have the facilities to care for kittens, and they end up euthanizing so many of them every year. Kittens come to the nursery as young as 1 day old and usually through the city shelter system. They're evaluated medically first, and then they spend up to 2 weeks in quarantine. And then after they are eating on their own, they move to what they call the Pee-wee unit, where their keepers prepare them for adoption by getting them used to being handled and cared for. And then at 8 weeks, the kittens are neutered and spayed and moved to their adoption center. But this nursery is only open during kitten season. And if you're like me, I thought, well, that's just, the springtime. That's a short job. But it's actually April through November. Oh. The good news, in a little over 2 years, that nursery has raised 3,500 kittens. Whoa. While at the city shelter, their kitten euthanasia is down by more than 20%.
Awesome.
Isn't that great?
That is good. Yeah. I'd like to work there. That'd be a fun
that'd
place
be
to
a
work.
great job.
Yeah.
Well, we've all heard of all kinds of, different government officials' spending abuses, but this might be a new one. During an investigation of California Representative Duncan Hunter's campaign expenses, the House Office of Congressional Ethics uncovered that the lawmaker had used $600 in campaign funds to cover airfare expenses for his family's rabbit, their pet. But that doesn't really irritate me like some other things would, though, Sure. Hunter has reimbursed his campaign to the tune of $49,000, however, after the review said that some of his expenses, a lot of them might be inappropriate, including groceries, fast food, items from a trip that he took to Italy. Use of campaign funds, of course, for personal benefit definitely is illegal. But in his own defense, Hunter has said some of the mischarges or reported spending items were errors and happened because his campaign credit card looks so similar to his personal credit card.
Oh, right.
That can happen. I think that's believable.
Yeah. And if you believe
you would
that,
never know what political party I would belong to, would you?
No, I could never tell.
Whose bone was that dropped?
That was my bone.
I'm Lori Brooks. Get more breaking animal news anytime at animalradio.com.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update brought to you by Fear Free. The veterinarian isn't typically thought of as your pet's favorite place to go. With Fear Free, that all changes. To learn more and find a certified Fear Free veterinary professional near you, visit fearfreepets.com.
Hi, this is Ed Begley Jr. on Animal Radio. Live simply so that others may simply live.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
And let's take a call for groomer, dog father, Joey Villani. We have, which one are we going to, Judy? And who's on line 3?
We have Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
What's on your mind?
I have a bearded collie in a full coat, and I was going to one groomer for a long time, and it was, a little far from home, and a new one opened up in town, so I decided to try her. And she told me that my dog was extremely matted, so she charged a certain price. And then she agreed that if I put it on a schedule, then it would be another price. So I did it for 5 weeks, and when I came, she said it was even more knotted than the first time. So I agreed, and then I booked a 3-week appointment, and now she tells me that she won't groom the dog anymore, that it's my responsibility to comb it. And I was wondering isn't that what I'm paying a groomer for?
Well, you know what? That's a funny question. And when you got a dog like that in full coat, it definitely needs work in the home. There's nothing that a groomer can do, whether it's 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, 6 weeks out. What you want to do is compare it. Now, I don't know if you have long, short hair, but if you have long hair and you didn't comb your hair on a daily basis, what it would look like in a couple of days, so you can have knots and tangles. Multiply that by 100, because don't forget your dog is running, through the furniture, rolling on the ground. It's doing everything that you wouldn't do with your own hair, and it's probably knotting up. Now, do you have a brush that you use now? I mean, do you brush the dog whatsoever at home?
No.
Not at all.
I bring it for a service.
And you know what? You got to understand
how often
that's...
can I bring it? Can I bring it? Every 2 weeks is too much. 3 weeks is,
But if you're doing nothing at all to your pet, and basically you're looking for the groomer to get out the knots and tangles all the time, there definitely will be a charge. You're definitely going to have a dog that's knotted. Now, I don't know the activity level of your dog.
Well, he doesn't do anything but walk around the house. We don't even walk him. And
you know what? But even that alone, walking on the carpet, the furniture, attracting static electricity, which is moving the coat. Anytime the coat moves, it turns, it binds,
but the other
it weaves itself into
did
a
it
knot.
From her house, and she charged a price, and she didn't. So basically, this groomer told me to go back to the other groomer.
Well, you know what? I mean, if the groomer doesn't want to do it, if it was me as the groomer and I had to deal with a dog that was knotted every single time, honestly, I would either charge you, and if the client did not want to pay the fee, I would basically say the same thing. What you definitely want to do to make it easier for you, and it'll probably be a lot less expensive, is go out and get yourself a slicker brush. And a slicker brush is a brush that has short metal curved pins, and you want to brush your dog minimum 3 times a week. Just take 10 minutes and do it. Run a comb through it, and it's going to save you a lot of heartache and time, especially if you like the current groomer that you're going to.
Well, that's what she told me to do. That's what she told me.
But you know what? And that's probably the best advice that she could give you, because a dog like that in full coat, there's no magic. There's no magic of knots and tangles.
She comes out beautiful.
She does a nice job.
Yes.
Okay, you know what? I would definitely listen to her advice, because it's really good advice. And not that the other groomer is not doing the right thing.
Well,
but I'll tell you what, a lot of times.
Not.
Well, there you go. There you go. You basically just answered your own question. So what I would do is I would put a brush and comb through it, a few times a week. Go to the groomer that you like, and I think that you'll be much happy. And your dog definitely will be, because you know what? When they go to a grooming salon and they are knotted, even if the groomer takes the most amount of time and is very gentle, it's still pulling and tugging on the dog. It's a little bit painful. She didn't want to do it to him.
That she felt bad for the dog, and that I couldn't have him in this kind of coat if I didn't contribute.
She is 110% right, and I hope that doesn't make you angry that I'm saying that. But she's 110% right, and I would continue to go to that groomer, because that groomer is telling you the right thing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your call today. We appreciate it, Cheryl.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Hi, it's Alan Cable, and it's no secret that our dog friends have transformed so many lives. They ease loneliness, make you laugh, get you out on new adventures, and help you meet people. They've even helped folks with depression and loss. They can sniff out explosives and even disease. When it comes down to it, dogs create more magic than David Copperfield. Doesn't your dog deserve the best life possible for all the magic he or she gives you? Of course they do. But how do you do it? Is it by feeding your dog the best filet mignon? Or letting him have free run of the house? Do we repay our dogs by letting them sleep in bed with us? I think you know where this is going, right? You want to give your dog the best life possible by educating yourself so that you can educate your dog. You know, puppies learn quick. They may learn that grabbing your clothes and shoes results in a real fun game of you chasing them or playing tug of war. They also learn that whining and barking gets them lots of attention from you. Let in, let out. And then they learn that taking little chunks out of your hand or ankles with those sharp teeth produces super fun noise. This is the exact opposite of what you want them to learn, though, isn't it? Being in charge from the very start of your puppy is better for both of you. Teaching him to sit and let go. Redirecting his behavior. Teaching him not to bite you, but only toys. Making sure that when you train him, you set him up for success and make it a lot of fun. So that your puppy grows up seeing training as the funnest game ever. And then in the house, you teach your puppy that calm behavior is the right behavior. And that the yard or the park is the place for play. Don't get him revved up. Save that for outside. Then make sure you take your puppy around as many people to as many places, around as many other dogs as you can. Take them everywhere you can. Parks, baseball games, shopping centers. Let them see and watch all kinds of people and dogs. Introduce them to the vacuum cleaner, the lawnmower. And when your puppy gets scared, don't say anything. Don't say it's okay. That just reinforces the fear. Just remove him from the situation or give him a treat. Redirect him. He'll get over the fear quickly when he associates it with something fun or pleasurable. So get a plan, get the education, and then get yourself a dog. And remember, good dog.
Need a fix of the good stuff? Get more Animal Radio with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you.
800-880-3141. 800-880-3141. 800-880-3141. That's 800-880-3141.
Hi, this is Jamie Farr, and you're listening to the Animal Radio Network. And remember to spay and neuter your pets.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
It is Animal Radio, celebrating the connection with our pets. Over the last year, let's say maybe even more, we've been talking about fear-free and fear-free visits to your veterinarian and what that means exactly for your animals. And today, we're very lucky we have Dr. Catherine Prim. She is actually the very first ever fear-free certified professional who took it on back in its early stages, and we're going to find out how it's working for her. Doctor, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So when you do fear-free practice, what do you do? What does that mean?
That means I address the patient's fear at every possible opportunity, from the trip to see me, the entry into my facility, the settling into an exam room. Everywhere I can perceive there might be a point at which the pet becomes stressed.
Okay, give me some examples of what you do.
Well, I can give you a very specific case example.
Okay.
We had a client who has a German Shepherd named Bucky, and Bucky is an adult and was an adult when he first started to see me, but we had been talking with his owner about the fear-free strategies, and so she really listened. One day, Bucky was coming in for a routine thing, and she called from her car, and she said, "Tell Dr. Prim that Bucky's just too afraid. I can't get him in the door." So we came outside to her and talked with her and Bucky and ended up giving Bucky a little bit of an anxiety medication injection, and we were able to complete his everything that he needed that day. And then we reversed that anxiety medication, and he never had any stress. He has no bad memories associated with me or my facility or the visit or anything. And she sent me a huge thank you note with pictures of Bucky all over it. So it was really a win for everyone.
That is great. You know, there's not a week that goes by. Dr. Debbie gets calls here, and somebody says, well, she says, you got to go to the vet. They always respond, but my pet hates going to the vet.
I can't catch my cat and put it in the carrier.
Yeah.
I got to know, what made you the first ever certified professional?
Well, I had heard Dr. Marty Becker speak about this idea at meetings and things, and I thought there was a lot of buzz and excitement built up around it. So I was waiting for it to go live. I kept watching the website because I knew where it was going to be and checking in. And as soon as it went live, I signed up, I registered, and I started taking the classes because I thought it would make the life at my animal hospital just better for everyone. The things that we dread doing to animals are the same things the animals dread having done to them, and so it's a positive experience for everybody.
Of course, we encourage every veterinarian that's listening to consider this and think about it. There's a lot of stuff that the pet owner or pet guardian has to do also. It's not just the veterinarian that needs to be involved in a fear-free practice.
That is true, and so we make it a part of every visit to sort of heighten the owner's awareness to these subtle cues that the animals are giving, that they are experiencing some fear and anxiety associated with the visit. And many times the client didn't even realize when their dog was just repeatedly yawning or maybe panting or wagging their tail and acting really excited, that's not necessarily what it seems. It might be an anxiety response.
How long were the classes for you?
Well, it works out to be about 8 hours of continuing education to get your initial certification.
And did you have to do this in person or was this online?
It was online.
So any veterinarian listening right now who wants to implement fear-free into their practice can do this online?
Absolutely. The web address is fearfreepets.com.
I salute you, Dr. Prim, for doing the fear-free certification.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Vets get a bad rap a lot of the time, don't they?
You know, sometimes. I mean, the overwhelming majority, veterinarians are great, caring people, and we're in this field because we love animals. So occasionally you'll get a bad apple in any profession.
Sure.
But I think that you'll find the majority of veterinarians, they want to do right by the animals, and fear-free is a movement. So it is different than what I learned when I went through vet school. Some of that I incorporated in my practice because I want to. Some of that is because the newer generation of veterinarians are coming out trained that way, and that's going to be better for everyone.
Alan Cable, hope you're doing well. And now for your listening pleasure, a baby and a husky imitating each other. You know, a big consideration for most folks when they go out to get a new dog are the kids. So I'm going to tell you which breeds experts say are the best with kids. At number 5, the durable bulldog. He's got a sweet disposition and he tires out real easily. At number 4, a breed that seems to be disappearing. You don't see very many anymore, maybe because they're so energetic and they need so much exercise. The Irish Setter, one of my personal favorites. These guys are fun-loving comedians. They're really sweet dogs. But again, they need tons of exercise. The top 3 coming up after the husky and the baby go at it imitating each other again. At number 3 on the list of best dogs to get when you have kids, the poodle. They're loyal, tolerant, and they shed very little. So they're a really good dog to get if your child might have allergies. Again, though, despite what Joey Villani says, research shows that dogs can be embarrassed. So please don't make your poodle look like Lady Gaga. We're counting down the top breeds that are great with kids. At number 2 on the list, the Labrador Retriever. These dogs are loyal, protective, and they love to play. They also come in 3 colors, white, black, and brown. And the number 1 best dog to get if you have kids, according to the experts, the Golden Retriever. Golden Retrievers are very loyal and patient dogs. You know how little kids are, and Goldens will put up with a lot. But it's still very important to remember, no matter what kind of dog you have, and no matter how sweet and loving he is, never leave your dog alone with your child. Your dog might not mean to hurt your child, but because he's so much bigger, it could easily happen. Thank you, baby and husky.
This is
Animal Radio. If you missed any part of today's show, visit us at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Life can be full of risks. One thing you shouldn't take a risk with ever is your family's health insurance. If you're self-employed or you now need affordable health insurance, you need to make this free call right now and see how the Health Insurance Helpline can help you get it.
800-410-5914. 800-410-5914. 800-410-5914. That's 800-410-5914.
Celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring your dream team, veterinarian Dr. Debbie White and groomer Joey Villani. And here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
Well, thank you, big guy. We're going to go to the phones in just a second for Dr. Debbie or Joey Villani. This hour, we're going to find out all about the Secret Service dogs, the dogs that are protecting the president and the candidates and everybody that works with the Secret Service, which I believe is, there's a lot of people that the Secret Service has to protect. So we'll find out about that in just a few minutes. Lori, what are you working on for this hour?
Well, we always like to tell you about those studies that tell you about the benefits of animals and pets. And now, if this is just phenomenal to me, I think it's terrific news. If you know anyone, or maybe a family member has a mental illness, we will tell you why experts are saying that a pet should be one of the mainline treatments for that person coming up.
What if your pet has a mental illness? Do you get a pet for your pet?
You get a human for your pet.
You get a human for your pet. Okay.
An emotionally stable human. You can find
There
one.
aren't many of those, Hal.
No, there really
That's
aren't.
Why we have animals.
Let's go to the phones for your calls right now. Hi, Judy.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Where are you calling from today?
I'm in Leslie, Arkansas.
Leslie, Arkansas. Okay. How can we help you?
I've got a Great Dane puppy, and I get a lot of conflicting information on how to feed him. So I wondered if you could help me.
Okay, yeah. Are you just, in general, what kind of feeding guidelines, because he's a Great Dane?
Because well, she is Sadie, and because she's a Great Dane, I've had people tell me that some people say you should supplement calcium, some people say you shouldn't. Some people say you want to be very careful how much protein you give them because you don't want them to overgrow themselves and give them bone problems like hip dysplasia.
Yeah, some basic general guidelines I can give, actually any large breed dog owner, especially when they're puppies. We do recommend large breed diets. And the idea with that is that it allows a more gradual growth and we don't have real rapid growth bursts. And that can help minimize some of those developmental problems like hip dysplasia, some of the other growth disorders with elbows and so forth. So yeah, I do recommend that. Now, as far as Great Danes, always kind of throw a little extra fun in the mix because, you know, they are a breed we're a little extra cautious about with some things diet related. So they're definitely because of their risk of some of the GI problems, if you're familiar with the condition bloat.
Yes, well, just barely. I mean, my sister told me a couple days ago about it.
Yeah, and bloat is basically a condition in dogs. It can happen in any breed dog, but we see it more in large breed, especially deep-chested breeds where the stomach gets kind of filled up, gassy, it flips on itself and becomes a very urgent emergency problem where they can't vomit and they can go into shock, and it's very fatal if not treated surgically. So because of that risk with Great Danes, they can get about 40% of Great Danes can get this problem, so it is a huge concern. Some food-related things I'd say, used to be old thought is we wanted to elevate their food bowls. And that's not really the case. They find that that can actually increase the risk of bloat in dogs. So we don't want to really use those elevated tiers for the large breeds. And I like to make sure we keep a good, healthy protein level, but we don't necessarily want to give excessive amounts to a Great Dane. As far as the fat content in food, they have done some research and found that Great Danes or large breed dogs with bloat, if they have high fat in their food, they are more prone to having this problem. So that's even yet another thing. But I would definitely make sure with Great Danes or any large breed, we do frequent meals. So we don't want to have one big meal in the day. Spread it out over a couple meals for the day. That's good for digestive health as well as to prevent things like bloat. Those are some basic things. Do you feed him dry food or a canned food?
Dry food.
Okay. And that's kind of another interesting thing. In most cases, we say dry food is the best thing to go for. But with dogs, large breeds with the bloat potential, we actually do recommend to add canned food into the mix of things because an all-kibble diet actually increases the risk of bloat in these large breed dogs. So that might be another thing for you to kind of consider. And it's sometimes hard to feed like all canned food to a dog that's 150 pounds, so not too many people do that realistically. But it would be a good reason to incorporate that into her diet.
Okay. What about the surgery that they do for bloat?
Yes, the prophylactic gastropexy. And it's basically a preventative surgery where we go in and we surgically tack or kind of tether the stomach to the body wall. That is recommended, and ideally we try to do that at the time of spaying or neutering, or at some other time, even preventatively it can be done. But they have found that has been in at-risk breeds, it's been very valuable. So breeds like the Great Dane, Weimaraners, Standard Poodles, and Rottweilers particularly will be good candidates to do this preventative surgery. So yeah, I would be a fan of that for her.
And what is a good age to have them spayed or neutered? I can't remember which is which.
Most times we'll do that at about 6 months of age, depending on your veterinarian. And as far as some of them want them a little bit older because they feel that everything in the abdomen is for the stomach surgery is a little bit more mature. But generally 6 months should be good.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Hey, Doc, I got a quick question, Doc.
Sure.
Isn't part of the bloat thing when they eat too fast? Don't you want to try to have them eat slower?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. That is definitely one of the other risk factors, eating fast. It used to be thought that, if they eat and they go run and exercise, that increased their risk. But some of the studies actually show that, it's not so much the activity after, but dogs that eat fast, older dogs, bloat is more common, deep-chested, actually, believe it or not, nervous dogs. So if your dog has kind of an anxiety, nervous potential, those pets have a little bit higher risk of developing bloat than the calm, laid-back, couch potato type dog. Wow. Interesting stuff, huh?
Yeah. Let's go to James, who has a call for Joey. Hey, James, where are you calling from?
Well, right now I'm in Lake Park, Georgia.
Lake Park, Georgia.
Yes, sir. I'm a truck driver, and I'm calling for a little bit of Joey's advice here on account of I have this little pug that loves to ride around with me, but sometimes we stay out on the road for very extended periods of time, and, giving him a proper bath is not very feasible. So I'm wanting to know what I could do for him, what products or what procedures Joey might recommend to keep him clean and, healthy while he's out on the road with me.
So let me ask you a couple of questions here. What's your main objective? Is just to clean the dog? Is the dog getting stinky? Is it shedding? Because that's going to determine really, what direction I go in.
Yeah, well, I brush him every day, but we're out sometimes for 2 months at a time, and it gets a bit oily and stuff, and
okay.
We're walking around in grass that, I don't know what's in there. I just want to keep. I mean, I got Frontline and all that for him as far as fixing fleas and all that. But, he just gets dirty.
There's a lot of products out there and wipes that you can go to the store and get. A lot of spray, dry shampoos, and a lot of things out there on the shelves that you can go out and buy. But if you want a real quick fix, and this works unbelievable, and it's good that you're brushing and combing the dog now because you're removing the dead coat. So if you're used to doing that, you're going to go to the store and you're going to buy yourself a 69-cent box of baking soda. Now, baking soda, you're going to sprinkle that in the coat. Now, it's going to do two things. It's going to, number one, remove the oil because it's going to absorb. So you're going to sprinkle it on. You're going to let it sit, I don't know, just a couple of minutes, and then you're going to brush it through. Not only is it going to absorb the dirt and the oil, it's going to also neutralize any odors, any smells, or anything like that. And it's going to, when you brush it, it's going to fall off the dog after it absorbs everything and fall to the ground. So the best thing to do is I wouldn't do this while you're in your truck. I would actually do this outside of the truck when you stop, sprinkle the dog with it, brush it through. It's going to be real safe. It's really good for the coat. The dog is going to smell good, and a really good thing, a trick with dogs that have folds in their face, and some pugs do, some pugs don't, depending on how flat the face is. If you use that and you put that in the folds, it'll dry out any type of moisture that's in there, and the baking soda portion of itself will actually remove any facial odor. It works really good. It's a good thing. It's nice and cheap, and you know what? I think that you'll be really satisfied until, listen, nothing's ever going to replace a good old soap and water bath, but this is something that you can stretch out with a short-haired dog. You can stretch it out quite some time. I think be real happy with it, too.
Wow, that's fascinating, because that's the one thing I was really worried about was, like, the folds in his face. I mean, I get into excuses every now and again, and I've been using, like, wet ones and stuff, but that's a very good tip. I really thank you.
You know what? And you can continue to use the wet ones, but the baking soda, after you wipe it out with the wet ones, go in with the baking soda. And I'm telling you what, you're going to notice that there's no odor from the face. And if there's any irritation, any redness, 9 times out of 10, that's going to go away as well.
I use that on my mother-in-law. She has a real wrinkly face.
How?
She has kind of a stinky face, too. And I got that tip from you last week. I appreciate that.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Dogs or cats, horse or emu, animals are people too. Guests at a Missouri restaurant complained when one of the patrons was monkeying around. Well, mostly because he's an actual monkey. Debbie Rose of Springfield says Richard, her monkey, gives her the emotional support she needs to overcome an anxiety disorder. Without Richard, she wouldn't feel comfortable enough to go out in public, shop for groceries, or eat in a restaurant. The local health department determined that Richard wasn't a service animal because he wasn't trained to do a specific task. But a representative from the Justice Department in Washington said a case could be made for the emotional support that Richard the monkey gives his owner. Until they sort it out, sounds like Debbie and Richard may have to hit the drive-thru. I'm Britt Savage for Animal Radio. Animals are people too. Animal Radio.
Hello, this is Jane Goodall on Animal Radio, and I'd just like everybody to realize that each day you live, you make some difference on the planet, and you can choose what kind of difference you're going to make. And hopefully every day you'll try to make the world a little bit better for people, for animals, and for the environment.
With MedGuard Alert, you're never alone. You can connect with medical professionals anywhere, anytime. And now MedGuard is introducing our exclusive new Care Watch. If you need help quickly, use it from anywhere to contact medical professionals. No cell phone required. The Care Watch is not only a life-saving medical alert device, it's a revolutionary health monitoring system that checks your blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen saturation, and much more. And here's the best part. If you have Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. The Care Watch is only available through MedGuard Alert. Call us right now. We have monitoring programs starting as low as $1 a day. The call is free, activation is free, shipping is free, and no contract is required. Remember, with Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. Call us to get your Care Watch right now.
800-705-1198. 800-705-1198. 800-705-1198. That's 800-705-1198.
You're listening to Animal Radio. If you missed any part of today's show, visit us at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Dr. Debbie, you see a lot of strange animals. You see the cats, you see the dogs, you probably see gerbils and hamsters. But
Yeah, you got it.
You practice in Vegas, so you probably see some out-of-the-ordinary animals, huh?
I do. I mean, we see some reptiles, birds, things like hedgehogs. All sorts of little oddities, but mostly pets, I mean, I don't work on horses, anything quite large like that.
So you've never worked on a camel?
On a what? A camel?
Yes, a camel, with the 2 humps. Sometimes one.
No, have not. Not yet. Not many pet camels that I know of in Vegas. I'm sure there probably are some. Yeah. We do have sand in some areas.
Well, now in Iran, if you're a veterinarian, you have to be proficient with working with camels. And in Iran, there has been a car-camel collision increase. There's been a lot of collisions between cars and camels happening in Iran. So the the government has now said that they're going to create outerwear license plates for all of the camels.
The camels have to have license plates.
Camels will have to have license plates. People think I'm messing with them now. This is true. This is absolutely true.
I really did.
Yes. It's right here.
It's in the news.
It is in the news and in a reliable news source.
So they can be ID'd, I guess, in case of a crash.
If there's an accident, yes.
So what do they do? Are they going to fine the camel if they make a wrong turn, or if they're into a lot of collisions? Is it going to be what are they going to do? Are they going to euthanize a camel for not being a good driver?
Well, they're going to go after the camel's owner or the camel's guardian if it happens to be.
This way they can ID the camel.
They can ID the camel and ID the owner and then find fault with the owner. So there you go.
Wow.
License plates for the camels. You heard it here first on Animal Radio.
I hope they put it on the front end and not the back end.
Yes. Okay. So this hour, in just a couple of minutes, we're going to find out about the Secret Service dogs. We're going to do a quick check of the news coming up next with Lori Brooks. What are you working on for this hour, Miss Brooks?
I'm going to tell you why I may be falling in love with Jaden Smith.
Oh, isn't that
wink, wink.
The Will Smith's kid? Yes,
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
A little young for me, but
yeah. We have Mary D on the phone. Hi, Mary D. How are you?
Well, I have an 8.5-year-old female Doberman, and I take her in for her dental exams and cleanings every year. But between her exams, her teeth. Pardon me?
I said very good.
We're saluting you.
Yeah. But her teeth gets that plaque build up and gets really ugly looking between the cleanings, and I give her only dry food and crunchy treats, hoping that, to keep them cleaned. And I was just wondering if little dental scalers, like dental tools to scrape the teeth, is a good thing to do between cleanings.
No. I love the topic of dental care, so I'm glad you called because it's something that there's a lot that pet owners can do. I don't recommend pulling out the dental scalers. Even people who are dental hygienists, it's not necessarily good to pick at the teeth with a sharp instrument and not be able to polish afterwards because it creates little defects in the enamel surface that make plaque build up even more. So I would stick to things that we can do safely at home, and home brushing by far is the number one thing you can do. So I don't know, Mary D, is that something you can feasibly do for your dog?
Yeah, she lets me brush them. She likes the taste of the toothpaste, so she thinks that's a treat. And I've tried toys with the dentabone and the greenies and nylabone type things that are supposed to help clean.
Those dentabones, do they really work?
Well, there actually are some good products out there, and there's a veterinary dental oral health council. I'm sure I'm putting too many words in there, but
we get it.
There's actually a society that looks at the products to see if they are very useful or not. And there are some that are, and greenies, believe it or not, are actually advocated for showing that they actually can help prevent tartar buildup. So there's other things. I mean, there's other foods out there, and they are also endorsed by the Oral Health Council. Prescription foods like Hill's TD, Purina has a dental health diet. There's actually quite a few things like that actually do have some sound evidence. And, these things will help a little bit, but brushing by far will give you the best success because it not only helps to prevent that tartar buildup, but it also helps to keep the gums healthy. And that's where some of these other things may not have as much benefit as brushing. So I try to brush as often as you can, daily if you're up with that frequency, if not even 3 times a week is useful. But yeah, I would say, some of those treats are actually very useful. Now, the other things, there's some water additives that have been also shown to be helpful in preventing tartar and plaque buildup. Aquadent, and there's some other brands out there that can be valuable. So that would be something. And in my office, we even use something that's an oral sealant called Oravet. And if your dog's good about letting you brush their teeth, then you might even consider the sealant because you can also do that if you're brushing your pet's teeth. So there's a lot of things like that. And, you can do all of those things, Mary D, and you're still going to have this constant buildup of plaque. And it is the same battle that we face when we go to the dentist every 6 months. So find what works for you and for your baby girl there, and you can battle that plaque.
Dogs or cats, horse or emu, animals are people too. An Australian man was recently caught hiding 3 geckos in his socks. Police found the little lizards hidden in the man's socks during a routine search of his car and alerted wildlife authorities. It's believed the man caught the geckos, which are a protected species in the wild, with hopes of selling the popular little lizards on the black market. The alleged smuggler had hidden a marble velvet gecko, an eastern spiny-tailed gecko, and a 3-spot knob-tailed gecko. A wildlife officer explained that taking an animal out of the wild affects both the local populations from which they're taken, but also can spread disease to other reptile communities. I'm Britt Savage for Animal Radio. Animals are people too. Animal Radio.
If you're between the ages of 55 and 63, disabled and unable to work, you may be eligible for disability benefits from Social Security. The average is about $1,300 a month. It's a benefit you are entitled to from working. Use it to pay your normal living expenses. This free call only takes 10 minutes, and it could provide you the necessary financial relief you need. Plus, our services cost you nothing until you receive your benefit check. Save yourself time and aggravation. We know how to get the job done for you as quickly as possible. So if you are physically or mentally disabled and can't return to work, and you're between the ages of 55 and 63, learn if you qualify for your $1,300 a month check. Make this free call right now to the Social Security Disability Helpline.
800-380-4429. 800-380-4429. 800-380-4429. That's 800-380-4429.
This is an Animal Radio News Update brought to you by Fear Free. Fear Free takes the pet out of petrified and puts the treat into treatment. To learn more and find a certified Fear Free veterinary professional near you, visit fearfreepets.com.
I'm Lori Brooks. There is an ever-growing body of evidence that reinforces the many health benefits of animals. And I sure hope with all my heart that you are listening every time we share these stories with you. Hopefully you've heard about all the physical health benefits of having pets that we shared. And now we have more great news from this new study published in a psychiatry journal. Now, this study sought to explore the role pets had in support and self-management and the personal networks of those suffering from long-term serious mental illness. Mental illness like bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. Now, their research concludes that, this is a quote, pets should be considered a main treatment modality rather than a marginal source of support in the management of long-term mental health problems. So that is pretty cool. This study, in it, the participants were asked to rate the importance of those people and things that were close to the patients. Things like, their family members, their pets, friends, activities, healthcare team members, and so on. In the end, 60% identified their pet as the most important part of their life, and they felt their pet played a wide range of positive roles, like helping them to manage the stigma associated with their mental health by providing acceptance without the judgment. Pets were also considered particularly useful during these times of mental health crises and relapses. In this way, they said that pets provided a really unique form of validation through their unconditional, unjudgmental support, which the patients said they were often not receiving from other family members or in other social relationships. The positive impact of pets ranged from things like offering, daily routines, consistency in their life, being an immediate calming influence, and one that also distracted the patient when things went wrong, when they were hearing voices or having unpleasant symptoms of their illness. The researchers were pretty balanced in all aspects concerning the patient and the pet too, writing that it was also a priority that a plan of care for the animal be included in the patient's treatment plan should that patient ever require hospitalization in the future. So we're going to share this link for this study on our website should there be someone in your family with a mental illness that might benefit from a pet or someone you want to share it with. There's a man in Wisconsin now. And his outdoor security camera captured some mysterious video footage that has reignited rumors about a Milwaukee lion. Isaiah Hare is this guy's name. He received an alert on his phone early this month, alerting him to movement detected by the security camera in his backyard, leading him to check the footage, to see what's up. So the video revealed what investigators say appears to be a very large cat strolling across his yard. But Mr. Hare told a TV news crew, "I've seen house cats on my camera before, and they weren't that long or that tall." The footage has reignited those rumors. You might remember this, that stemmed from a video that showed what looks like a mountain lion wandering Milwaukee's Brewers Hill neighborhood. Police said the state's Department of Natural Resources investigated both sightings, but no animal was ever located or positively identified. And despite what Mr. Hare said, officials say they suspect the animal in the latest video was a common house cat.
I don't know.
I mean, you don't want it to be a mountain lion.
Have you seen the video and the pictures? It, to me, looks like a mountain lion.
Does it really?
It's spooky. It does.
It could be like a big Maine Coon or something like that.
Well, it's short-haired, and it's kind of that kind of tan color. It's all even hair-coated. It does not look fuzzy. I don't know. You have to check it out for yourself.
I'm going to go do that.
I'm thinking, Dr. Debbie, we should get you a plane ticket and send you to the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources.
No, we have mountain lion out here. But no, I think they've actually looked at the paw prints, too, and determined that it has kind of the more characteristic big cat appearance, where the nails don't touch. So like a house cat or a coyote might, you can see the nail marks when they have their paw print. So I think there's some evidence that it could be a big cat.
Okay.
I'm going to try and get a hold of Mr. Hare and play him the clip of what you just said, okay? Because that's going to make him feel a whole lot better. I'm Lori Brooks. Get more breaking animal news anytime at animalradio.com.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update brought to you by Fear Free. The veterinarian isn't typically thought of as your pet's favorite place to go. With Fear Free, that all changes. To learn more and find a certified Fear Free veterinary professional near you, visit fearfreepets.com.
It gives me great honor to present the dog father, Joey Villani, exclusively on Animal Radio. How are you doing?
You know what? It's been a crazy couple of weeks of me, and then just trying to get in here today was nuts. But you know what? I'm here, and now I'm happy, and things are good. So, you know what? It went from bad to good.
Yeah. Relax. Here, have a donut.
No, I can't have donuts anymore because I've become allergic to wheat. So what, are you trying to hurt me now?
Oh, I did not know that.
Wow.
Yes, I've become allergic to wheat, so I can't have wheat products anymore. I mean, that happened when I turned 50, so.
Well, I think I have some figs over here, some dried figs, if you would like.
Figs would be, I like dried figs. That's good. That's a good Italian
And there's a veggie
thing,
tray over there in the green room.
Oh, I didn't see that. Excuse me.
Yeah, okay. Veggie, yeah, I'd rather have the figs. Anyway, so listen, I got a great letter from this woman, and she has a colleague, and I'm gonna actually hold on. Let me get it out. Okay, and what she asks is this. She said that she has a collie regularly groomed. She said she listens to Animal Radio, and what she has found out over the years, with me speaking, is that sometimes when you trim the coat of the collie or any double-coated dog, what ends up happening is the coat gets thin, and that's what she was saying that she heard me talk about. She says, well, that's been the problem. What they've been doing is they've been cutting the dog down, thinking that it was going to reduce shedding, and then found out that it doesn't reduce the shedding at all. The dog just sheds, shorter hair that's more impossible to get out of your carpets and furniture and all of that. But what it's done, it's damaged the coat, and she wants to know what she can do to get the coat to turn around. This situation, especially if you have a red dog like a Pomeranian or a Chow Chow, because the undercoat is light. But on a dark-colored dog, sometimes it just looks weird. So what you have to do is we got to train the coat back. We got to get that natural growth pattern going again. And the only way to do that is by what I call natural process. Natural process is this. Shedding dogs shed. when you cut them down, it's an unnatural process. So the coat is all messed up, and it's wondering what's going on. So what it's going to do, it's going to grow an abundance of undercoat. So I got to bring that top coat back. And the only way to do this is brush and comb. Brush and comb, brush and comb. Now, unfortunately, in some situations, you might be too far gone. But usually, if you're diligent and you stay on top of it and you do it every single day, and you're going to pull out a ton of undercoat, and the first thing you're going to start noticing is a color change, and the color is going to go from light to dark. And that's why I use the red dog as an example, because you really start to see the difference. And when you start seeing that dark coat come in, you're making progress. Don't stop. Continue to do it. And usually within the next couple of, not weeks, not days, but months, you're going to start reversing the process. And then you're going to have a dog that's going to look great and not going to shed and going to be back to normal.
Hi, it's Alan Cable with today's dog tip. Last time we talked about picking a smart puppy out. By using his attention span, that is, how long can he focus on one thing before becoming distracted? The longer, the better. If you've got your eye on a particular dog or puppy, here's a couple of other tests you can do that go a little bit further than just measuring how long a dog can focus. Usually a puppy under 4 months that can focus on any one thing for longer than 10-15 seconds is pretty smart. Now that you've established that the dog you're interested in can do that, here's a couple of other little tests. Have somebody hold him on a leash, and right in front of his face, take a dog treat and put it under a coffee can or a soup can. A smart dog will know right away that the treat is still there even though he can't see it. Knock the can over with his nose or paw and go at it. Just so you know, we put my uncle through this test. He ate the can. If the dog you want completes the coffee can test successfully, here's another one you can do to take it a step further. Now with your friend holding the dog on a leash, take the treat, show it to the dog, then put your hands behind your back and make 2 fists so that the treat is now concealed. Now put the 2 fists back in front and let the puppy or dog pick which hand your treat is in. Now, the last part of this test is what separates Beethoven from the idiots that are always trying to catch him in the movie. And I'll just tell you, most likely, if the dog is younger than 4 months, he or she probably won't be able to complete this part of the test. Well, what the heck, give it a whirl anyway. Same thing, hands behind your back, but drop the treat behind you. Then bring both of your closed hands in front of you again. Most likely, the dog's going to sniff both of your hands. Then you can open both of them up to reveal the treat is gone. Where'd it go? A real smart dog is going to put it together, or he's going to use his nose to search for the treat. And an extremely intelligent dog is going to want to walk behind you to get the treat that he knows is there. This is Abstract Thought for a Dog and the cast of Jersey Shore. Next time, we'll talk about what a dog needs to be well-adjusted, happy, and secure. And believe it or not, love isn't number one.
I would love to go on vacation, but I don't want to leave our Charlie behind.
I agree. I heard that the magazine Fido Friendly lists places where you can stay with your pet. They also offer reviews so you have an idea about pet policy to include any restrictions, fees, and what pet amenities to expect.
That's, dare I say, awesome. What are we waiting for?
I'm way ahead of you. I just logged on to FidoFriendly.com and found a 4-star resort, Hilton Santa Fe Resort and Spa at Buffalo Thunder in New Mexico.
Charlie agrees. When do we leave?
As soon as you can pack your bags. It's off to adventure with Charlie, thanks to Fido Friendly Magazine. To find your next family adventure that includes your furry family friend, log on to FidoFriendly.com.
You're listening to Animal Radio. If you missed any part of today's show, visit us at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
It's Animal Radio. This is where we celebrate the connection with your pets. And although this is one of the first presidents in history that doesn't have an animal in the White House.
I know.
You should know that there are plenty of dogs involved with his administration and with every presidential administration.
Really?
Yes, there is. They're Secret Service dogs.
I never thought about that.
That's right.
Yeah. You know, they don't really talk about them. They try to keep them under wraps. But our good friend, we welcome back Maria Goodavage. How you doing, Maria?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on this morning.
So you just wrote a book called The Secret Service Dogs, The Heroes Who Protect the President of the United States. And I was unaware that there were actually dogs that protected the president.
I didn't know that either.
Tell us what you found out, what you know.
Well, it is the Secret Service, so they haven't really gone around telling people about their dogs. And I learned some fascinating, it's just an incredible program. There are actually dogs at almost every layer of protection for the president, the vice president, their families, and the Pope when he visits. And the dogs protect the White House. They protect the White House physically or by sniffing for explosives. They go everywhere the president goes.
How many are there?
That is something I cannot disclose. The Secret Service asked me not to do so for operational security reasons, so I'm sorry I can't give that number, and I didn't give it in the book. But there are quite a few.
Well, I know the past presidents have had dogs. How do the Secret Service dogs interact with the president's dogs?
Yeah, that's a great question. Most are kept away. The goal is not to have interaction because with dogs, you never know what's going to go on. And these are Secret Service dogs. Some are trained just to sniff explosives. Others are trained to protect against anything that could do harm to anyone at the White House. And so you don't want some dog, strolling out and surprising one of those dogs. Although they're incredibly well trained, they wouldn't fight back. But there was they talk to each other. The Secret Service and the White House staff talk to each other all the time on the radio, saying, "Hey, the first pet, the family pet, is going to be on the South grounds taking a little walk," and so they'll be aware of that and keep their dogs separated. But Barney, President Bush's dog, a long time ago, was known for escaping from from where he was supposed to be, and suddenly a Secret Service dog handler would hear him thundering down the halls of the White House and go, uh-oh. One guy had to pick up his dog. It was an explosive sniffer dog. He had to pick up his dog, a German Shepherd, really quickly, and Barney leapt up. He didn't pick him up quite high enough, and he got the end of his tail, and fortunately help arrived before anything could ensue. Barney also got outside where the tactical dogs were a few times and surprised them, but those guys are so strong they just hoisted their dogs right up on their shoulders until Barney could be taken away.
Wow.
When I visited the White House, they had a lot of squirrels there, and I know Ladybug's like, squirrel? Yeah. What about these dogs? Do they react to this?
Yes, they have the same tendencies. These dogs are high drive. They're very driven by things like prey or a ball, and so they can be very interested in squirrels. The dogs they have selected of late seem to be less so for some reason. I think that they just start training them so intensely that they don't have time to think about squirrels. But in the old days, when the program was really getting underway, there have been just as many squirrels, I'm sure, but there was this one dog who was so fixated on squirrels. He treed one once, and that's all he would care about after that was squirrels. He didn't care about protecting the president. It was all about squirrels in trees, squirrels on the ground. So to get him away from that, this was, again, a long time ago. They don't do this anymore, but they got a stuffed squirrel, a toy stuffed squirrel. The trainer back then in the, I think it was the early 80s did, and he opened up the squirrel and put hot sauce inside of the squirrel. And then he dragged the squirrel, the dog went for the squirrel, and when he emerged victorious with the squirrel in his mouth, the hot sauce sort of squirted all over. He shook it out, they gave him water, and he never went for it again. But that's the only time they've used something like that. These days they have very positive reinforcement. It's all about positive training, which is really amazing, the things they can do with that kind of training. And so they haven't really had to do even hot sauce on these guys.
Oh, good. And I assume these are all German Shepherds?
No. Many of the dogs are Belgian Malinois. Those are the ones, the tactical ones. Do you know what those are? They're kind of like German Shepherds, except they're lighter, more lean, and they just go forever. They are used only as the tactical unit, the emergency response team ones, they only use those dogs. And but others, the sniffer dogs can be Belgian Malinois, German Shepherds, and there are some dogs who will, if you have tourists in our audience today, if they're in Washington, D.C. right now, they can actually see some dogs right there in the crowds in front of the White House, usually on the north side. They are going to be something like Labrador Retrievers. There's a Springer Spaniel. They are more they call them the floppy-eared dogs, the friendly dogs. Even though a lot of the other dogs are friendly, they just call them friendly because they look affable and friendly because of their floppy ears. And there's one dog, he's a hilarious guy. His name is Rhodey, and he's really scruffy. He's a terrier border collie mix, and he just makes people laugh as he goes by. But the job he does is serious, and he's very serious about his job.
That's an incredible story. Thank you so much for telling it to us, Maria.
Thank you.
Thanks for visiting with us. We hope to do it again soon.
Thank you.
Well, that's all we have time for today. Remember, if you need your fix during the week, visit us over at animalradio.pet or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone, Android, and BlackBerry. And that's great to have that app because if there's a recall, and there was a recall just this week, I believe a Purina food recall.
And I got a notice on my phone.
You did. You'll get a notification on your phone when there's been a recall that might affect you or your animals. So it's a great reason to have the free Animal Radio app. Have yourself a great one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you next week.
Always adopt, don't declaw.
This is Animal Radio
Network.